Coming live from the neighborhood, you are listening to Hapi Hood The Podcast, where we deliver meaningful content to inspire, uplift, and empower. Hey neighbor, it's your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray, lifestyle coach with a passion for helping others embrace self-worth and live a life of fulfillment. Welcome to the neighborhood. It's Hapi Hood The Podcast.
Finish
Message.
what you start.
Let's go. Welcome back to the neighborhood family. Welcome to another edition, a new edition. I should say a happy edition of Hapi Hood The Podcast Monday Leadership. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. And wow, it's been a while. I know. I've been busy. I've been doing a couple of things. I've been parenting, raising kids, now teenagers, or one teenager. But yeah, I've been a little busy. So I'm back, and I am feeling refreshed, and I'm ready to go. And I'm so glad that you decide to, let me stop in, let me check in here at the neighborhood, where we just like to gather around to connect, cultivate, and build. We like to think of it ways of unlocking our potential, empowering our self-worth, and living a life of fulfillment. And, on our Monday leadership series, this is where we kind of talk about leadership tips, best practices, but more importantly, like how it applies to our personal life, right? How do we become a better leader as husbands, as wives? How do we become a better leader in our leadership journeys in corporate America? How do we become a better leader as parents? As workers, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as aunts and uncles, and just pretty much how do we apply leadership to our life? We believe leadership. We're building daily habits for successful tomorrow. That's what we hear. Here on Monday Leadership is building today's habits for successful tomorrow. Because we believe leadership is not a title, but it's a choice. It's a choice that we make on a daily basis. And family, like I say, it's been a while. And where do I begin? Where do I begin? Well, I guess let me just kind of provide you with what happened, what what you've been doing. As I said before, I've been raising kids. And this past year, 2024, our kids, Lathan and Joy, they have now there are into sports, and we are the, I guess, those weekend warriors type of family now, where our kids are in sports activities pretty much on a weekly basis, whether it's track, whether it's football, basketball, now indoor, soon to be outdoor track, and then we'll be doing some club track soon. So we're that type of family. And let me just say, family, it was pretty much with pouring into them. Yes, I am one of those parents where I kind of do the sideline coaching. I'm one of those sideline coach, where I kind of help my kids and coach them in different areas, so they can improve. So it was pretty much pouring into them, in addition to just kind of doing some things and getting better as myself, working on my mental. And that's pretty much where I want to kind of start out with that. As I said before, last year I hit a wall. I hit a wall, and I hit a wall with the, I would say, hit that wall where I was burnt out. I was dealing with burnout, and then pouring into the kids. If you ever had a moment where you feel stretched, right? Whether it's being, you're doing so much on your job that now your marriage is suffering, or being a good parent and suffering, or now you're doing so much in your family where your job is suffering, and you're trying to find a balance, or a rhythm to kind of manage it all. And let me just say, family, yeah, it was tough. And it was in that season that I had to kind of think about, okay, what do I need at this moment? Okay. What certain things can I continue to stay grounded on? What certain things do I need to understand that, you know what, is out of my control at this time? And what certain things that, hey, here's what winning looks like in this season. you know, here's what my daily wins are going to be about. Here's where I'm not just making content to about leadership, where now I'm kind of putting those leadership things that we have talked about, and now I'm putting them into practice. And that's what it was. I was actually in the moment of putting it in practice, and I thank God as I look back now. At that time, it wasn't like that, because I was just I was stressed, I was burnt out, I was being stretched, and I was feeling like, hey, I want to do all these things, but yet nothing was working at the time. I didn't have the type of level of focus and clarity that I needed. And I think about it now, looking back, I'm thankful for it was a moment or a season where I just needed to sit still and focus on what's in front of me, right? And focus on what was in front of me. And at those moments, I just say it's hard. It's very hard to do that. It's very hard to think, or not think, but it's very hard to have these ambitions and to have these goals and to have these things that you want to achieve, but yet there's things, or there's internal conflict, whether it's spiritual, whether it's mental, whether it's emotional, that is hindering you from doing it. And you feel this kind of tug of war, you know, where you are trying to find the right balance and rhythm to handle the tension, of just what the world throws at you when life be lifing. The tension of parenting, the tension of being an entrepreneur, the tension of having a 9 to 5, the tension of, oh, don't forget you're a husband, you're a wife. So the tension of being in marriage, you know, and all those things. It comes to a moment where you simply just can't juggle all those things and be effective. You simply come to a point where you're no longer being effective, and it's now you're beginning to become more aware of that, to where now, okay, you know what? I'm not being effective in these areas. Okay. And I'm finding out, or I'm seeing where I need to now change my approach in order for me to handle the season, or the rhythm, to get into the right rhythm for the season that I'm in. And I know a lot of people, in which I kind of have, how can I put this? I kind of have now found a new perspective around balance, because the what I believe now, right? And again, this is just my thinking, and just from reading and just kind of, listen to some others that have confirmed this within my spirit, is that, you know what? I don't know if you would truly have complete balance, right? I don't know if I believe in that, um, and from that theory. But more importantly, maybe not more important, but maybe what I am trying to find and get my words right, um, is the rhythm of the season that I'm in. The rhythm for the season that I'm in. Because I mean, again, finding the balance and balancing, this whole, remember the work-life balance, in which I don't know if that's, still being something that is held up, in corporate America, which, there's some ways that they're now still thinking about it, but finding the balance of, or having balance where it's you in this equilibrium of work and family, and family and entrepreneurship, and family and work, and whatever the case may be, is not you only one person. So again, as I think about it from that perspective, I'm not necessarily going to have true balance where I am given equally portions to each of those areas, because in the season that I'm in, I may need to. I may need to give a greater portion in this area, right? While still somewhat finding ways to be effective in this area here. You know, sometimes, hey, I need to focus on my ministry, especially when I say ministry, like the calling, right? When you think about entrepreneurship and how it's such a calling, right? Maybe I need to manage and add more time to my ministry, which it may cause me to have less time, right, in my family, in my marriage. And again, it's finding, excuse me, the rhythm in that area, right? Well, the rhythm may be, hey, let me concentrate on here, but yet let me still find ways to be effective over here, right? So that's one thing I have learned, family, uh, over these last couple of months, and going to therapy. Come on, hello, somebody. Talking it out with someone. I'm learning that, and again, if you believe in balance, hey, that's you. But I'm finding where it's not necessarily like the balance. I'm finding that what I need is to understand the rhythm of the season that I'm in. That there's a rhythm to it. There's a rhythm to it. And one thing that has, you know, having moments to really sit down, and which again, I'm so excited now, able to really share these personal journeys, and again, how it applies to leadership, how it applies to building daily habits for a successful tomorrow, right? And so I'm so excited I'm able now to have a moment to share it with you, and really, how do we put this in practice? That's what Monday leadership is not just, as I was kind of thinking about it, and I go to church. I'm a believer, and there's moments where I I don't need just a Sunday sermon. Sometimes I need a Sunday sermon for a Monday. You know, I need a Sunday sermon for a Tuesday, and that's what Monday leadership is about. Is about, how do we build these daily habits? What are the daily habits that we need to build for a successful tomorrow? How do we put these things that we learn, as we go through life, right? And as God shows us, reveal different things too. How do we put those things into practice? What does it mean to put into practice to lead with humility? What does it mean to put into practice to trust God? Come on, somebody. What does that look like, right? So that's what we're going to really be diving into on Monday leadership. And today is about, really, as I was thinking about, hey, what I want to share with you. And again, being back is like, from that time or the season I was in last year of finding that rhythm. How do you find a rhythm in moments of tension, right? Finding the rhythm in the season that you in, you know, is what I want to discuss, and and provide you with these habits that we can do. Um, One thing that as I was in those moments, and as I said before, searching and just having, I was up and down in my emotions, and dealing with burnout, and dealing with so much of pouring out, right? And not being intentional about replenishing myself so I can be even more effective, right? And there was one thing that really spoke to me as, meditating and really within my prayer life, and that was to, in the season that you're in, and in order to have a rhythm for the seasons that you're in, one thing that we have to do is we have to stay grounded. We have to stay grounded to our values, to our principles, um, to our faith. We have to stay grounded. And what I mean by that is, in the moments of where we are in this pool, it is sometimes so easy for us in those moments is to really assert ourselves and trying to do everything, trying to please everyone, you know, and really putting on this facade and putting on the mask that, everything is all right, just trying to do our best. But even when we're doing that, as we try to do that, we are becoming more and more ineffective. And one ways that we can really help to maintain our effectiveness, right? Especially when we feeling like we've been pulled in a lot of direction. We're pouring out, we're pouring out, we're pouring out, right? And we're trying to find the rhythm of the season that I'm in. We're trying to get into a rhythm. We're trying to maintain the rhythm for the season that I'm in, for the season that we're in, is we have to stay grounded. We have to have that unwavering faith. Last year, my word for the year was steadfast. And family, woo, oh, let me just tell you, it was that word there that really helped me to think and really meditate and pray to God about what does that, as how was that being defined for myself in the year of 2024. And it was more of me understanding of unwavering, being grounded, right? Being grounded in your values, in your principles, not stopping or not compromising the things that really continue to protect our peace, things that helps us to establish those boundaries and understanding when we're needing to reestablish boundaries. Those things that, you know what, hey, here's my value. So when it comes to decision making, that doesn't even fit, right? That goal or that um if something comes up, to where you're getting offering this, or you have opportunities come up, you're now like able to weigh them out clearly because you're standing ground. You're grounded in your values. So again, if it doesn't line up into with your values, why am I even entertaining that? Why am I even entertaining that job offer when that's that it doesn't fit? Why am I even entertaining that business offer? Yeah, that it doesn't really go with my values, you know. So we stay grounded. We have to stay grounded. That's one of the ways that we stay in the rhythm for the season that we're in. We stay grounded in our values. We stay grounded in our principles. We stay grounded in our faith. We stay grounded with God. That's essentially what I'm saying. I had to stay grounded with God, you know, to ensure that I am in the right space, in the right mind frame, in the right, I'm in the right posture, you know, for the season that I'm in, to continue to be in the rhythm, to continue to be effective, because we know tension, we know life is going to happen. It's going to occur. It's not an if, it's a when things are going to knock you off your rhythm, and you got to now reestablish the rhythm. How do you do that? We have to make sure we stay grounded, and that may mean we have to reinforce our values. We have to reestablish our boundaries. So number one, stay grounded. Number two, and this was big, is have grace. Have grace. It's one of those things that, you know, I had to, in those moments last year in 2024, I had to kind of get back to just being in God's presence with the understanding that I'm not well deserved of it, right? And I had to be comfortable, right? Of moments where I felt I wasn't deserving of the presence of God. I wasn't deserving of certain things. And I felt that, whether it was my insecurities, whether it was, what I felt was my shortcomings, where I, I didn't have the right resources for certain opportunities that was coming my way. I had to make sure that I had to receive God's grace for myself, right? And I had to understand that it's it wasn't based on my skills. It wasn't based on my abilities. It was simply God was giving me grace where he gives us every day, right? Grace and mercy. And once I was able to, get in a moment that giving, receiving grace from God, I was able to give myself grace and I was able to give others grace. And what I mean by that is, as you go through this year of 2025, as I said before, there's going to be moments where you're going to have some shortcomings. There's going to be some decisions that, you know what, that wasn't a good decision, right? I didn't make the right decision. Oh, I messed up. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace, right? Give yourself the ability to understand, you know what? Things happen. Give yourself the ability to understand, you know what? God's give me grace when I don't deserve it, when I'm not at my best. Let me reciprocate that same approach with myself. Okay. Let me do that. Let me make sure I give myself grace, right? And understand that, hey, you're going to have days where, you know what? Oh, it's one of them days. It's one of them days. It's gonna be days where you're not gonna be effective. You're not gonna score the touchdown, right? It's gonna be some certain days you're not gonna get in the end zone. You're not gonna, score points. You're not gonna make the winning goal. It's just the winning basket. However you want to put it into like a sports analogy. There's gonna be some days where you're gonna miss some workouts, right? There's gonna be some days where you know what, I shouldn't have ate that. you know, oh now, and where you look at yourself, oh man, I shouldn't have ate that. Give yourself some grace, you know, give yourself some grace. And once you're able to give yourself grace, I believe we're able to now to extend that grace to others. Able to now to understand, you know what, it's all right, you know. And I would say this year, I felt it has helped me with being a better parent, you know, to where my kids, especially, I'm having a teenager. I have a teenager now. My son is getting older, and they're becoming more and more each day. They're coming into their own, right, where they're making their own decisions, and some of them, hey, I don't fully agree, and some of them, I have to kind of put down like really, have those parenting moments, and it's when those moments where they don't either meet the standard, I'll say that, of your expectation. In those moments, I have to understand, you know what? They're learning. And I can't get all worked up, right? Or I can't, even be mad at myself. Or I should have did a better job of explaining this, or I should have, did a better job of parenting, in those moments there where, okay, let me give myself grace. Let me give you grace, right? You know, let me give you some grace and understand. You know what? Hey, maybe you had a bad day. We think about our co-workers. We think about our managers, right? If we're we have a manager over us. Are we thinking about people that we manage? You know, it's gonna be some days where you know what, you was off this day. you know, as husbands, as wives, like, hey, let's give each other grace. I'm gonna have some bad days. I'm gonna forget this, or it's gonna seem where, I kind of maybe, didn't put my best foot forward on something, right? Or I wasn't listening, give each other grace. And when we give each other grace, I said, going back to first, We've been grounded in our values, our principles. And now we're able to give each other grace and receive grace. Now we're able to continue to be in that rhythm, right? Nothing is causing us to get off our rhythm, right? Now, give yourself grace. There may be some days where you off your rhythm, you have some bad days. But when we're able to now give each other grace, give ourselves grace, give each other grace, receive grace from God, you know what? I know I'm not deserving, but thank you, Lord. Thank you for waking me up this morning. Thank you for allowing me to have a job. Thank you for allowing me to have breath in my lungs. You know, it helps. It helps really that having that gratitude. That's why I think it helps to just practice gratitude to where, you know what, we're able to inhale humility and exhale entitlement. Thank you. Thank you for grace. The third thing I want to talk about, we talked about staying grounded in our values, talked about grace. The last thing that I want to talk about is I'm calling it the give and receive. You know, throughout the year, especially in 2024, there was moments when I think about, right, and I'm gonna use this from a biblical perspective, right? It was moments where I was in the desert, right, where I felt deserted. I felt um I just felt where I wasn't achieving that, where I just felt not effective, right? If you ever had those moments, and I'm trying to articulate the best way I can, but it was just moments where I didn't feel where I was winning, right? I was winning, and I was feeling moments of just fogginess and just moments of just not being effective, right? And I think about the children of Israel, right? When they left Exodus, excuse me, are in Exodus, when they left Egypt, right? And God sent down manna, for them to eat, you know, manna for them to eat, right? And when I think about that, and I think about again just that last year of people, right? Whether it was people, whether it was, something I heard where I had to be able to receive it in order for me to give it back out, right? What I mean by that is once I was able to think more clearly and able to no longer resist, you know, what I have believed now that it was God having sending manna, right, to sustain me in the wilderness. I had to now come to a point where I was able to receive it. And I had to release, right? I had to give um things that I felt that I was holding on, and I had to make room to receive what God was giving me, right? Another way of looking at is basically, there's moments where, and I'll just give my example, right? When I think about my walk with God, right? When I think about just, those moments of God was providing a blessing to me. But in order for me to receive the blessing, I had to give God my insecurities, right? That's an example. I had to give God my shame, right? I had to give God these thoughts, right? I had to really give God and release. Maybe release is a better way of thinking about it. Where I had to release these burdens. I had to release these expectations, right? That I had around what I should be doing by now. What certain things of accomplishments, or what I felt, checking off my goal list for 2024. I should be way ahead of myself. I gotta release those expectations in order for God to receive the manna of what God was given to me, you know, whether it was the encouragement of people, you know, whether it was, books that I read, whether it was something that I heard on a sermon, whether it was, my family, my wife, my kids, right? I had to release and give away these expectations to God in order for me to receive what I needed at that time. And family, this is where, you get into those moments of, as you go throughout the life, go throughout the year. And again, when simply life be lifing, right? Where you are pouring so much out, right? And you are being, you know, uh, pulled in a lot of direction. And again, you think about finding that rhythm within that tension, right? In the tension of what we may feel is chaos, in the tension where we feel that everything is coming up against us. It's in those moments where we have to release and give those things to God in order for us to receive the necessary help, encouragement, right? To continue on with rhythm, right? This is the necessary rhythm, right? This is the rhythm that we need for the season that we in, right? Whether that rhythm is spending more time with my family, right? Whether that rhythm is continue to work on the business, right? Whether that rhythm is, going after this opportunity and managing family, work, it's finding that rhythm and maintaining it, right? And that release and receive, oh, it's it's hard. It's hard because in my opinion, I had to come to God with some real, like, we had some honest conversations. It was moments of like, yo, like, what's up, man? I feel like what's going on, God? I feel tired. Things are just, I'm doing all these things. I'm feeling ineffective. I'm not making content. Like, I haven't done a podcast in a while. Like, what's going on? And it was a moment where, like, God was like, yo, I need you to release those expectations and know that I still got you, right? I'm still ordering your steps. I'm still directing your path, right? And receive what I'm providing to you now, right? Receive what I'm providing to you now, because I'm telling you, this is what you need for the next season that you're going to go through. For the next season, this is what you need. And sometimes we say at work is, when we are talking with clients and helping them with their improvement, process improvements, like when you are when you're managing chaos and you are, you have all these things that you want to do, there's a thing that you have to practice, and that is, sometimes you have to go slow in order to go fast. I'll say it again. Sometimes you have to go slow in order to go fast. And that really stuck with me last year, it's still now. Um, I'm gonna have to learn how to go slow in order to go fast, right? I'm gonna have to learn how to continue to stay grounded. I'm gonna have to learn how to continue to receive God's grace, give myself grace, give others grace. And I'm gonna have to understand how to release and receive. How to release and receive in order for me to continue to be effective, in order for me to continue to stay in the rhythm, to manage the tension, to stay in the rhythm. Okay. So I want you to build these habits. Build a habit of staying grounded. Build a habit of giving yourself grace and receiving grace from God, giving others grace, and build the habit of releasing and receiving. Okay? Because here on Monday Leadership, we are building today's habits for successful tomorrow. Because we all know leadership is not a title, it's a choice. So daily choices that we make every day that helps us to be better leaders for tomorrow. Family, till next time, be blessed. Love God, love yourself, love your neighbor. I'm your favorite neighbor, Jay Murray. Be blessed.